Hi everyone, and thank you for joining our latest YouTube video conference. We are very honored to have Mr. Kevin Jackson with us. Kevin is the executive director of the Black Sphere. He's an author of Amazon best-selling books such as Sexy Brilliance and the Other Political Lies on Amazon, and The Big Black Lie. He's also a former Fox News contributor. And with that, let's welcome Kevin. Thank you so much. So we're about a little over a week, less than 2 weeks before the election?
Before the re-election, I think is what you meant to say, Lorraine.
How do you see things going?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Look, this is such a no-brainer that I don't even know why we're making a big deal, right? It's a no-brainer. Trump has rallies. He was in, I happened to be in Michigan when he was in my home state of Arizona. And he started out in Prescott, Arizona, thousands of people. You could see Air Force One parked behind. They did an aerial shot, thousands of people. He takes off on Air Force One. Dan Scavino takes a picture of the crowd. Amazing. He lands in, I believe the next location was Tucson. Thousands of people. Now contrast that. A week earlier, Biden comes to Arizona. Not one single person, not anybody lined up along the road with the social distancing and all that crap. Kamala Harris goes to Florida. I think they said 6 people were at that rally. She came out going like there was nobody there.
No one.
It was hysterical. Look, here's what I want your listeners to pay attention to. Go back, and your viewers, go back and look at Trump during the primary and look at the numbers. I'll give you an example. In one primary in the second term, Barack Obama got like 123,000 votes. Trump, not even campaigning, got 680,000 votes in the same primary location without campaigning. He got 5 times the number of people to show up to support him than baby black Jesus, that would be Barack Obama, did in his second term. It's insane how these people, what they're setting us up for is they want us to believe that Joe Biden's popular, he's winning all these polls, and they're going to try to cheat us with the ballots and then say, see, all this polling was correct. It's not going to happen.
So how do you feel about the cheating and the mail-in ballots? Is there a real risk, or do you think he's going to take the country by a landslide? Also, what about the Senate and the House? Do we have any risk at losing the Senate?
There's risk, and that's why they want to count votes after the fact. I think that all of that's going to end up being negated. I think the courts will get involved because, look, you can't not honor a deadline. Because if you don't honor deadlines, then when somebody says, well, I didn't pay my taxes on time, and you say, well, it didn't matter during the presidential election, then I'm going to sue and say, why did I not get such and such because of this supposed deadline? If a deadline's not a deadline, then what do we work on? How do people go to work and they say, show up to work at this time, leave at this time? If it's not good enough for the government for counting votes or whatever, it can't be good enough for anybody else. So if there's a whole can of worms from a legality point of view that people are looking at. But it's not going to matter. The mail-in votes, all of it, if you don't think, I tell everybody this, Donald Trump is a shrewd guy. He knows the only way he can be beaten is to be pencil whipped. That's a golf term. In other words, you may beat me on the course, but I can beat you on the scorecard. So Trump's smart enough now to realize that the only way they can beat me is through crooked balloting. And if you don't think he's got lawyers deployed in every state that does not have a Republican governor, every battleground state, and he is looking at the attorneys generals and et cetera, it's naive to believe that he's just going to roll over. Now, I can tell you this as an insider, and I was talking to insiders, and they actually told me this. High-level Trump officials said, when this is over, if there's any controversy, we are not leaving. We will fight this thing tooth and nail. And I heard that. I'm telling you, that is, I hadn't even said that on my own radio show, but that's a true story. Insiders said, we will fight this tooth and nail because we know They know that we have the enthusiasm. Look at any enthusiasm. Look, here's what I can tell you. You guys are not over, you're not over on this side of the pond right now. At least I don't believe so. So here's what I'll tell you. There's not a black person in America that's going, boy, I can't wait to go vote for Joe Biden. There's not one.
Really?
No, it does not exist. There's not any young women of the Me Too movement that are going, boy, oh, Joe, I can't, it's Tuesday morning on November the 3rd. Hey, nobody. They're already talking about, get this, in Texas, they said, I think it was Texas, they said over 20% of the votes have already been cast from 2016 before the election. If you take any of those numbers and what I told you about the primaries and go back, I dare anybody listening, whatever part of the world you're in, go back and look at Trump during the primaries and look at the numbers. Everywhere he went, he was getting 3x to 5x the numbers that Barack Obama got as an incumbent president. Then, in fact, Trump's numbers as an incumbent president rivals many presidents' numbers when they were actually campaigning for their first elections. So the enthusiasm gap, the enthusiasm for Trump is tremendous. You don't, it's so palpable. Forget palpable. It isn't like it's some post that's out there and you're trying to find it. You know it exists. It's everywhere.
So are you predicting a landslide?
Landslide. Okay. Barack Obama, Paul, got 68 million votes the first time he won in 2008. Trump will get 70 million plus votes of the popular vote. It will not even be a close contest.
Wow. Heard it here today, Kevin Jackson.
He said it first.
And by the way, I did a YouTube video. I call these things Kev Talks that are named after TED Talks. And anyway, I did a YouTube video and I told everybody, I guarantee you, I'm doing what the left did when all these so-called comedians were, I guarantee Trump will not be president, whatever. And we got a whole litany of those. Well, I'm guaranteeing you that Trump will be president. And in that video, I give you overwhelming reasons why Trump will be president. And it's on YouTube under Kev Talks. So
okay, great.
Check it out. YouTube, Kev Talks.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you think is going on in the U.S. Yeah, we're both in the Paris area. Mm-hmm. We represent Republicans here. We're constantly fighting the good fight, outnumbered, but we're not giving in. And we have a small group that's really proud of Trump, and not just Americans, but a lot of French, surprisingly. A lot of French support Donald Trump, and they really follow us. They're friends of our group, and we're excited for election night and excited to celebrate afterwards, hopefully. But what's your take on battleground states? Do you still feel we're going to just sweep them all? Are there any that we should be concerned about? What do you think about?
I'm just shaking my head. Going, what do you want me to say, Paul? I mean, look.
In Florida.
Oh, come on. Look, I'm going to pull a Biden on you. Come on, man. Come on, man. Look, there is nothing. I get when you're away and you've got, by the way, when I was in Paris, I have to say the last time, it was a couple years ago, I was surprised. I went out and talking to Parisians and I was asking them, like, what do you think about, the president and Uber drivers, people like this. And they were like, Kevin, we love your president. He is very, he's a real man, And I'm like, I agree. Man. Versus Macron, who is a total girly woman, I mean, it's insane to compare these two. And look at what everything France is going through economically, et cetera. And you got Trump. I mean, look, Trump walks into a G7, a G8, and everybody just gets little. Yeah. I mean, whether it's Angela Merkel or it's Macron or it's Trudeau or whomever, they just all get real little and disappear because a real dude walks into the room, testosterone fills the air, and toxic masculinity, right? It's beautiful. Paul, I see you Paul bathed in it. I can look at him and tell he bathed in it today.
Well, it's so vilified by the left that a man has any testosterone.
Oh, it's insane. So here's this guy. I mean, let me put it to you this way: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Trump is destroying them everywhere. They have these fake polls that are so look. Forget the weighting of the polls; they're heavily weighted to leftists, to the Democrats. Mm-hmm. We know that, but they're still polling incorrectly. That was the same reason why in 2016, your audience will be happy to know this, I predicted Trump would win, and everybody looked at me like I had three heads. And I'm going, guys, what you're listening to things that, you're listening to the experts, right? The people that think they know, the inside the Beltway people. And then in France, it's the same types. It's the bourgeois cocktail sippers, that want to pretend that they know more than we do. And they get really upset because people like us who are I was out talking to black waitresses and cabbies and hotel workers, and they were all telling me, and Kev, I don't feel this Hillary thing. And I was like, really? No. And of course I knew it anyway, but I would say, what do you think about the election? Man, Hillary. And I was, as soon as they do that, I went, here's what I will tell you. Let me translate black talk, okay? When they go, man, Hillary, they're really saying, I like Trump. Mm-hmm. That's what they're saying.
But are they afraid to actually say so, or?
They just, I think there are a lot of people who are, yeah, because you'll get your car keyed, you'll get your house bombed, you'll get there are a lot of things that still happen because I'm going to be honest with you, leftists, not just in America, all over the world, they're nuttier than squirrel turds.
Okay.
So
we know very well.
Yeah, this. And if you let it out that, you're a Republican, a conservative, or you support Trump, man, you might as well just put a target on your back. Now, I think that's going to flip once he wins and suddenly things change again. And here's what I will tell you. You can be guaranteed that Holly weirdos, all these leftists, even media types, it has flipped. They won't admit it publicly, but privately, they're conceding Trump will win. They also concede he's a better president than Obama. Certainly, it shouldn't even be mentioning Biden. I mean, demented Joe Biden it's pathetic that the Democrats are really wanting this guy who's got a brain malady, and they want him to win. So back to the battleground states. The only states that Joe Biden can win are California, Massachusetts, potentially Oregon, and those are the three. Everything else, Trump country. And I would even tell, no question about it. Joe Biden probably won't even win Delaware.
Wait, you're predicting Donald Trump's going to take New York State?
Oh, in New York. Sorry, New York. But I'll tell you, I'll give you a stat about New York. So let me give you two stats that'll blow your mind. Running unopposed, Joe Biden in Kentucky only got 57% of the Democratic vote. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
No.
Running unopposed.
I'm not surprised.
The primary was over.
Wow. Yeah.
In New York, to your point, Paul, running unopposed. You want to take a guess at what Joe Biden got, vote-wise?
55.
What do you think, Paul?
When he would running
unopposed in the primary, what percentage of the Democratic vote did Joe Biden get in New York State?
60%? I don't know.
71.
71, okay.
Yeah. So here's the point. Now, that doesn't mean Trump's not going to win the state. But here's what it tells you. 29% of the people in a heavily red, blue state did not support Joe Biden. This isn't across the board. These are Democrats, 29%. In Kentucky, 43% of Democrats did not support Joe Biden.
Yeah, so they're not voting for Joe Biden, they're voting against Trump.
Pretty much. And I think that the number of people that have shifted towards Trump, the walkaway movement that we have here, the undercurrent Democrats are not going to say anything because they're like, you know what, mouth shut. I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to risk my job. The number of blacks who say, I'm voting for Trump, I'm just not going to tell anybody. That number is, like I said, the part of the iceberg under the water in 2020 is 3 times larger than the part of the iceberg under the water in 2016.
What do you think the percentage of the black vote will be?
Well over 20%, and it'll approach 30.
And
Excellent.
He got 8% in 2016, just to put it in perspective.
Yeah, and Hispanic vote?
It's tough to say there. I mean, here's what I can tell you with the Hispanic vote. Trump is going to get more of it. That much I can tell you. There's not a single demographic that when you want to look at special interest, which is the way we do things now these days, it's like, what's the black vote, the Latino vote, the women vote, or the LGBT vote? There's not a single demographic that Donald Trump isn't going to win more votes this time than he had last time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Hispanic vote, I think, was close to 30% in 16. So we were on a call.
Oh, that seems low. Hispanics are typically like, yeah, you're probably right. 65 to 67%.
35, 40. Rick Grinnell estimated up to 50% of the Hispanic vote.
I agree. And Rick's a sharp guy. And by the way, Rick's going to bring a lot more of the LGBT vote because, you know, this is a guy that Trump has prominently put in his cabinet and has done a phenomenal job as ambassador to England, and he was assistant DNI, and he's out there, and he's openly gay, and Trump embraces him. Yeah, let me tell you, LGBT is looking at this going, well, first of all, our portfolios are up. They care about their money. They're from a group, they tend to do better than the average American, even though they're so oppressed. And then you've got Grinnell out there, and also Brandon Straka of the Walkaway Movement, 2 prominently gay guys that are promoting it. So again, there's no indicator. Here's what I would tell your audience to ask themselves. Show me where Trump loses an audience. Did he lose young women because he took away their right to their bodies? You know, no. Did he lose Latinos because he said he was going to build a wall? No. Did he lose blacks because he hasn't done enough for them? They just put out a press release that of everything Trump's done for blacks. If you put it next to Obama, Obama looks like he's the head of the Klan in comparison.
Totally. And it's funny because the left media in France and in the US, no one talks about how he actually undermined the black community. And then when Trump came along, he talked about it was more important that his legacy was alive than anything else. And I think the rumor I read on your website that you posted, I think it was yesterday, about all roads leading to Obama in terms of violence, and perhaps a rumor that Obama is supporting Biden because there might be a chance that Biden could nominate him to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, one of my writers, I think my editor wrote that piece, and it's as good a rumor as anything. In terms of what the possibilities are. I think Barack Obama, he'd be smart to stay out of politics and just move on, because he's got a lot of scandals that are going to come out, and his administration will ultimately be written about as one of the worst things ever happened to America. So that's one thing. I mean, we post a lot of stuff, and we're an opinion place. So, you know, my editor believes that. I think Obama's going to skulk into the oblivion. And I think that's what he recommended Joe Biden do. If you read all the articles about them, he wanted Biden not to run. And for obvious reasons. Joe Biden's got diminished capacity. Joe Biden's done nothing. But I want to go pivot back to one of the things we were talking about with respect to what Obama did for blacks. Valerie Jarrett, probably 5 or 6 years ago, was out. She was meeting with black media who was upset because they didn't have access to Obama. Obama promised them, they got him elected. They rallied the vote, black media. And when he got elected, he immediately went to all the mainstream media outlets. And in fact, he was an enemy of media, but he cut black media completely out. So they had a meeting with black media, and because they were like, not only have you cut us out, you haven't done anything for blacks. That was the issue. So Valerie Jarrett said, we did 3 things for black people. Now I'm going to tell you the 3 things that they said they did for blacks. All right. Number 1, expansion of the welfare rolls. You're going to chuckle when you hear this. Expansion of the welfare rolls is number 1. Number 2, the equivalent of making crack cocaine and regular cocaine, powder cocaine, the same sentence. Okay, those are the first 2. And number 3 was Obamacare.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things she said they gave the blacks. Now, let me tell you, let me go in order, from reverse order. Obamacare. The idea was we gave you a stipend. That's reparations. That's welfare. You're not going to go to the doctor, but you qualify because you're poor. You get this $3,000 a year into your check. It's in your bank account. We took it from Whitey. We give it to you. That was the reason for Obamacare. Not because of the health, not because it improved your quality of life. It's going to make you live longer. Nope. Blacks are going to live to be 50, 55 and die of heart disease from eating too much fatty foods or junk food. And they know that. It wasn't about health. It was about getting you some reparations money. So that was that. On crack cocaine, the idea was we're all a bunch of crackheads. And so now when you get caught with crack, you'll get the same sentence as those white boys. And the third thing is we can't give you jobs, but we can give you welfare. So here it is. Those are the 3 things that Valerie Jarrett actually said with her mouth that they did for blacks. Now you contrast that with Donald Trump, who passed the First Step Act to get blacks out of prison, Second Chance Act to get them jobs when they get out of prison and get their records expunged if you did nonviolent crimes, drugs, and what have you, which is the reason why many blacks got put in prison under Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton with these super predator laws and 3 strikes and et cetera. So Trump has undone that. HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, had to beg every year for funding. And it was raised a little bit by Obama. Trump raised it more than Obama and made it permanent. They no longer have to beg for their stuff. Now, I'll be honest, I don't even like it. I think historically black colleges and universities, technically, we don't need them. You know, we have colleges and universities and they're integrated. Right. But if you want to keep them as a symbol of America, a symbol of blacks in America, I get it. And Trump did more for them than Obama did. And I could go on. Opportunity zones, they've already proven 30% more money is now flowing into opportunity zones, which are historically more black populations than before. He's completely looking at the diversity, equity, and inclusion in schools and saying, look, you're not going to use that as a crutch to dumb down black kids anymore. And I could go on. It is such a rock solid difference between the two that how could you possibly be asking the question, is Trump a racist? But we're still talking about this because of the stupid media here.
Yeah, they just keep repeating the lies and repeating the lies. I mean, somebody who's accused of being a racist, he's obviously the worst racist in the history of the world, right? It's just absurd. So on that subject, what do you think about the end game of this Antifa, BLM, racist violence, anarchy in the streets?
Don't you love it?
Is it going to ever stop?
Yeah, it's going to stop because what's going to happen is people are getting their sanity little by little. When this landslide occurs, when people see the number of people that support Donald Trump, they're sick of. I want you to understand the left's philosophy around Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They know that these groups are anarchists, they're terrorists, they're absolutely, it's unsafe to go to downtown Seattle today. It is unsafe. And I have a friend that lives there that told me nobody goes downtown Seattle anymore because it is unsafe.
Yeah.
So you've got citizens now who are the virtue signalers. These are the people that believed in science and climate farce and global this and, saving this and, bugs and owls and baby seals or whatever else. And they're going, whoa, we were following along virtue signaling, thinking we were all, kumbaya. And these people are crazy. And we can't go out. We've lost our freedoms. We're afraid. And there's white flight happening from white people in these cities. And now I mean, whether it's Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, all these big cities, you're watching former Democrats, people who were dyed in the wool, believed, drank the Kool-Aid as it were, they're saying we've had enough. So when they leave and all that's left are the anarchists, you're going to start. And by the way, Pelosi wants to pass this new stimulus because she wants to bail all these cities out after all the, the rioting and the looting and all this. And if Trump holds steady and says nope, and when he gets reelected in a landslide, you're going to see a whole different change.
Sometimes, I mean, I love Trump, but sometimes he does confuse me. I just read last night, and I was defending, Trump and the Republicans' negotiations on COVID-4 package and what you just said, how terrible Pelosi is trying to add all these billions of dollars.
It's crazy, yeah.
Democrat cities that they let burn. But I just read this morning that, we know that her last offer is $2.2 trillion. Republicans was $1.8 trillion. But then I read this morning that Trump is willing to meet Pelosi and even go bigger. Have you heard that? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure that out as a strategist. And here's what I say, because I think that this I call it the Chinese Wu flu, is the biggest ruse and the biggest boondoggle known to man. It's been a horrible thing to do. It's a terrible experiment. The Democrats knew what they were doing when they saw it as a money grab. And go look at what Pelosi wants to put money into. I saw the list. It's insane. Everything she wants to fund. More museums, more, it is a Democrat.
Aliens, payments to illegal aliens.
Yeah, it's a leftist wet dream.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Trump is saying Americans can get some of their money back. I'm going to give it to working Americans and companies. It can't hurt the economy because it'll get money will circulate. But I think what he's also waiting for is to say, we're going to do this, and the number's going to be so big that I'm going to make sure we never do it again. And that's what I hope is a strategy, because I'm going to tell you, I get so pissed wearing the stupid mask because I had to fly. I don't wear it anywhere else. I wear it on a plane. And anybody that comes up to me, I tell them, either mind your business or I'm going to kick your butt. Don't come up to me talking about a mask.
Yeah.
But so we've got this idea now, and we've got citizen mask police out there that wear your mask, and yelling at you. I got some guys kicked off a plane for yelling at me. They can't fly Southwest anymore. But the point is, we got to get back to where sanity rules, and this disease, is not one we should be wearing masks and shutting down economies, worldwide economies over.
Right.
And so we can never let this happen again. So I think you're going to see a spate of lawsuits here in America. And I think Trump will come out and say, okay, world, if you do this again, ever, China, and I think he's going to get a lot of money from China. He's going to say, if you do this ever again, you will not do business in America. We will never let this happen again. So I can only hope that he's seeing this as, look, it's going to spur economic activity. I hate what it's doing to the budget. I mean, it's destroying, or the debt. It's destroying the national debt.
I mean, is there any chance that he's going to have to raise taxes to pay for it? I mean,
it won't. Trump's not going to raise taxes to pay for it. He'll look at it in productivity increases. He'll look at it as, if I can raise the GDP, and right now, when he came into office, the American population was worth about 14 plus trillion in terms of GDP annually. Now it's 18 trillion. So what he's saying is, if I can get that in, in the 20 to 23 trillion range, it'll negate the money that I put into this. Now, that's all. We're putting Band-Aids on bullet holes, as you know. Ultimately, they got to start cutting the budget. We got to get rid of this idea of trillions of dollars. It's funny how politicians now talk. Pelosi will say, it's just $1 trillion. It's like, what? Since when did that become just? Can you put that in front of $1 trillion?
Well, when you're making money off of the taxpayers, I guess it's money grows on trees.
Apparently.
On the recovery, I keep hearing that the third quarter is going to be fantastic results, like 30%, 32% growth or something. Do you think that's going to come out? Do you know from sources? Is that going to come out before the election?
Yeah, because they'll release those numbers. So the government ends its year September 30th. So that's Q4. So yeah, those numbers have to come out before then, because they'll report Q4 numbers generally by October. I mean, certainly by November. So Q3, if they're talking about Q3 numbers, yeah, those numbers will be out soon.
Week, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be.
The jobs report was higher than expected.
Everyone's been. I mean, look, I think he's predicted 11 million jobs will have been recreated post Wu flu. So the numbers are stellar. I mean, our stock, if you've got money in the stock market, you've made money. It dipped on March 16th, but since March 16th, there's a big dip in the market, and then it recovered. Almost all the companies recovered. And if they left everything alone, the stock market, and I predicted this, I said the stock market would be at 30,000 before the election. I don't know if I'm going to hit that, but if they left everything alone, I think it would have easily gone through that. Now I'm going to give you a hint if you want some stock advice. When Trump wins, you better have some money in the market, because the stock, you're going to get a 2,000 point shift up in the market. So 2,000 over 2,800. In other words, you'll get a 8% boost. If you got $100,000 in the market, you're gonna make $8,000 in days. It's gonna happen fast.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Hopefully our listeners will pay close attention to your advice, and we're not liable.
You're right. Neither am I.
Oh, well.
What else, Antoinette? I wanted to ask you about Hunter Biden.
What's that, Hunter?
Yeah.
That's the big story. We're talking about a lot of the policy issues, the kind of the wonky stuff. The most fun stories right now are Hunter and the drip campaign that's happening with Giuliani. And look, I've been saying this for a long time. You don't put a crackhead in charge of your foreign policy. But here's what people need to understand about this. Joe Biden had to know. And here's why I'll tell you that. Hunter's sitting around smoking crack, maybe messing around with a couple of underage girls. And Joe goes into the room and says, "Hey, Hunter, what are you doing today?" And Hunter goes, "I don't know, Dad, what you got up?" He says, "You want to come with me to Ukraine on Air Force Two? Right. Let's go hang out." Says no father ever. Nobody put in front of foreign policy. Look, I have a crackhead dad. He's dead. I can guarantee you, if I were vice president and I wanted to help my family out, I wouldn't bring my crackhead father to Ukraine or China with me and start negotiating deals. Joe Biden said to Hunter, "Come with me, be the front man for this, get everything set up. I'm going to help you get." He thought he's helping his son to get his life together. But there's an old saying, whatever your vice is, don't get money, because that vice will explode. So what did he do? He takes a crackhead who's got sex addiction, et cetera, and he gives him riches, right?
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. So are you kidding? And this is part of the reason why the low level electorate in America understands this. They're saying, look, we don't mind you helping your son, but I got friends with crack problems, with crank problems, with drug problems of sorts, opioids, et cetera. And they don't get the kind of treatment that Hunter Biden got. And they know it. The lowest common denominator voter knows crackheads don't sit on boards of multinational companies and know nothing about that business.
But I heard it was all Russian disinformation.
Well, Giuliani also said.
What are you saying to me? You accuse me of something there, Paul?
I think you're a secret Russian agent.
I'm Black Russian. I don't like the way you talk to me right now, but we will deal with you later.
You do great accent impersonations,
Of course
Kevin.
I do. I'm Russian. I'm Russian spy. Been Russian spy for years. Oh, Trump.
No, no, but Giuliani, actually, I saw one of his interviews just after the
2 weeks.
Oh, wait. What? Oh, wait, we have a little.
Sorry, I'm cutting out.
Okay. It's okay. No, I just wanted to touch on the point that Giuliani, his hypothesis is that all the money was being funneled through his son, through Hunter. And then according to a text message that was found on the laptop, he was turning over 50% of whatever he had to the whole family.
Yeah, yeah. It was a
look. It was Joe like a money laundering.
Yeah. Joe Biden's been feathering his nest for years. By the way, Paul, you don't have a problem with your microphone. It's only when we talk, it cuts you out. So if we let you talk, we have to let you talk. Just think of it as you've had too much white privilege, and we now get to get back at you.
Exactly. I'm sorry for my privilege. Oh, okay.
So anyway, to your point.
Okay, I want to talk.
All right.
So, because we're limited on time, I want to jump from that fun subject, which I've
already gone over time.
In for the next 2 weeks that it's going to completely bring down Biden. But jumping to a kind of a wonky subject, but one of the most important subjects of this election is the attack and war on freedom of free speech, our right to free speech by big tech, censoring this entire story. Do you think, with your contacts, that Republicans are ever going to do something now on really addressing the problem of this? What is it? The Clause 302, which gives them the ability not to be sued,
prosecuted,
liabilities. We have to do this now.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, the DOJ filed, is starting to look into Google. I think ultimately it'll end up being Facebook and Twitter. And when that clause goes away, that veil of protection, then it'll be a big deal. In fact, we posted that story on my site, and Facebook now restricts us. I can't post anything right now. One of my other friends, a guy that I work with who works with me in movies, by the way, bleedingbluemovie.com is my film about policing in America. I hope people go check it out around the world because it's an amazing film.
It leads film. I just finished watching it. Everyone needs to see this film.
Yeah, it really is. I'm not saying it because I made it. It is my baby, and it's a beautiful baby, but it's worth watching. But anyway, going back to this, yes, these guys are censoring. They want to keep the stories, a lid on stories that they believe potentially could impact people. And this one friend of mine, they didn't cut him off to say a week or 24 hours. They told him in a message, you cannot post through the election. Now, this is a guy that's pretty popular, and they didn't put a fatwa on him for a week or 2 days or whatever. They said through the election. And this is a guy that does nothing except a black dude. He just gives his opinion about stuff. And that's how powerful they see us. So I don't know. I think we may be restricted at this point through the election because 3 days now, we have not been able to post on my Facebook page. And I have a message that says, you're posting too much or whatever. We'll have a blog out about it, but they're afraid. Wow. And this is why I keep coming back to, why do you know Trump's going to win? Because if Biden's got it in the bag, let us speak.
Right. Right.
Excellent point. Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, censoring the fourth, I read that New York Post is the fourth largest read newspaper in the United States. And, they're censoring that. They blocked, what's her name? McEnany, Kayleigh McEnany.
They suspended her account, yeah.
Blocked her account until she deletes the post.
Yeah.
The tweet from New York Post. It's
unbelievable.
Completely out of control. So
and a corroborated story that, you know, easy to corroborate. The FBI's had this thing since December of 2019. The Democrats have had no knowledge of this story for this length of time and still tried to prosecute, tried to impeach Trump. And I could go on. So yeah, is Trump going to finally crack down? The short answer is yes, they will. It'll be just like it was in the days of Rockefeller, Carnegie, and JP Morgan, when they finally had to just break these people up and say, you're no longer going to do this. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Well, I asked that directly because it's been almost a year now. We've been waiting for John Durham's report to come out.
Right.
You know, and who's stopping it? Is it the deep state stopping him from going? And because as you just posted recently, so much of this comes from Obama and Biden originally during the transition phase, who started spying on him. And I really thought that Durham was going to expose these thieves and scoundrels like Brennan and Clapper and Comey, but nothing really came
out. But look at what happened with Clapper. Clapper goes and testifies, and suddenly we get the biggest breaks that we had. Now, they've been overshadowed with all the other things, but Clapper testified, and that's when Ratcliffe released all the other data. And now you're starting to see the dam break. Schiff is he's not, Schiff and Nadler have been neutered. They might as well have just publicly cut off their nads in front of on camera, because they've been neutered. And then you get this breaking story of Hunter, which now rightfully ties a loop around all this stuff, because even though it's not directly related to Benghazi, the veterans dying on waiting lists, the Fast and Furious gun running scandal in New Mexico, the persecution of conservatives by the IRS, Barack Obama threatening to put media in prison, and I could go on. It all relates to it, because what it shows is Joe Biden saying, I didn't do anything. I don't even know who these people are. Well, guess what, Joe? You're in this picture with them. Oh, here's another picture. Oh, and you know what else? We put the timelines together, and it's convenient how every time you and Hunter went somewhere, within a month, Hunter got a lot more money. So what's happened is, who needs Durham? At this point, the public is already making up its mind. And I remind you, I told you Trump will win by the largest number of anybody in history because of it.
Okay, we heard it here first.
Kevin, I hope we can oh, sorry, Paul.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we should we should wind down now. I know Kevin's pressed for time. And I hope, though, that, Kevin, we can see you after. We could do another interview after the election and go over it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
let's do it.
You have any plans to come back to France?
Yeah, I'd love to get back. I keep, so I used to go every year for this event with Iranian expatriates that were looking to get a free Iran.
Yeah.
And the Wu Flu put a kibosh on that the last 2 years. I think I was there 2 years ago in July, if I'm not mistaken, and I brought my family over. I'm going to come back just because I know that my speaking schedule and the things that I'm doing, I will eventually get back for something related to that. But I honestly, I look for people like you to sort of, lay the groundwork, like, hey, Kevin, we can get you in to speak at the Sorbonne, or whatever, because what eventually is going to happen is when Trump's, gets reelected, American politics is always national news. I mean, we don't care what's going on in France. Macron, I don't even know where Macron is. Is he still the guy? Don't know, don't care.
Who knows? Curfew somewhere.
Right. But everybody cares about Trump. And so when he's reelected and people say, Kevin, how are you so confident that he was going to get reelected? Well, fly me over and I'll tell you why. And I'll also tell you why in France, you are doomed unless you follow the doctrines of Donald Trump. Perfect. You're doomed if you continue to make your population into these little segments and put one over the other. And you're doomed if you're not getting people to have some form of nationalistic pride in your country the way it used to be. What I used to love about the French, God love them, as sorry as they are in athletics and other, they still had a very good sense of pride. You know, Kevin, we have the best wines, or we have the best cooking. Okay, have a sense of pride about something again, and make people want to come back and see what France is about. France has completely lost its identity. And that's why I didn't even enjoy Paris the last 2 times I've been.
Yeah.
You know, actually, if I could just jump in, this is exactly what's been being said in French media since we had the decapitation of the teacher last week. This is exactly what I'm hearing, that French have lost their sense of belonging. They've lost their sense of something to be proud of. And you just hit the head on the nail, nail on the head.
Well, so go in terms of going back, love going back, would love to meet with you guys when I'm there. But I'm usually driven by an activity there, you know, some reason to go. Now I was, before COVID, I was going to take my youngest son to Italy, and we were going to come back through France and, you know, just go hang out and for a little bit and spend a few days over in Paris, just so, I mean, because we went, and I have 3 adopted French kids and one Swiss. So,
nice.
You know, we have a reason to go. And in fact, when I was there the last time, I saw 2 of them. One used to work at Disney and the other one works at a restaurant. So we got to see 2 of them while we were there last time. So I have a reason to come. I want to be there. And I'm a Francophile. My French sucks, but oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Action. That's
well, we'll do everything we can to make it worth your while to come on over. Of course, you know, we got to let COVID stuff, because in France, we're actually mandated to wear the mask. So you definitely don't want to be here now.
That's why I want to go to Sweden. I'm going to go to Sweden and hang out. And, because they've proven that you're not going to get sick. And, you know, I think the mask thing will blow over at some point, but when Trump wins, you watch what happens. A lot of it's going to go away. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you having me on.
No, it's our privilege. It's our privilege.
Really, it's an honor. It's great to hear from you. Great to hear from you, someone on the ground, connected with such enthusiasm. Our viewers will really be happy to hear it too. It's.
Hey, tell them if they want to connect with me, thekevinjacksonshow.com and bleedingbluemovie.com is the movie. Both they will love, I promise.
Okay. I'll be sure to post those links at the bottom of the video.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. Take care.